In this lesson, I want to talk to you really briefly about the difference between hard skills and soft skills. Now, these words you might not hear super often in your actual job, but you hear them a lot when talking about applying for jobs and creating resumes, and so that's why I really want you guys to know the difference between these two, especially because I'm often going to make a requirement on a particular assignment that you include X number of hard skills or soft skills, and so it's very useful for you to know what the heck I'm talking about. So your learning target for today says that I can identify one hard skill and two soft skills that I currently possess. Okay? You will also be able to, by the end of this lesson, identify a hard skill versus a soft skill. You'll know that you can do this when you write down one hard skill that you have and two soft skills that you have or hope to have. And you'll be doing this on Canvas. I have a quiz set up. And then you'll also choose whether a given skill, so that means I'll give you a skill, is a hard skill or a soft skill. So I'll give you one and you'll have to tell me whether it's a hard skill or a soft skill. So let's talk about some definitions for the two. Okay? You can see I've got hard skills on left there on the red and soft skills on the right in blue. So hard skills are teachable abilities or skills that are easy to quantify or measure. Quantify is like another term for measure. Okay? That's technical knowledge or training that's gained through experience or education. So oftentimes somebody has to teach it to you. So that's kind of the key with hard skills. They're teachable, which means you can teach them to somebody else, and also means that somebody else has to teach them to you. They usually don't come naturally. And they can be measured. Okay, so we could say you have X amount of this skill. Soft skills, on the other hand, are more like personal habits and traits that shape how you work. They're subjective, which means that it's different for everyone. There's no right or wrong. That are much harder to quantify, so they're much harder to measure. We also often refer to them as people or interpersonal skills. Okay, so soft skills are kind of more like those habits that you bring in your daily life. Those are pretty much the Google definition of hard skills and soft skills. It's often makes a little more sense once you see some examples of each. So we're going to go through some examples and kind of discuss them. So some examples of hard skills: being bilingual or multilingual. So being bilingual, bi means two, multi meaning many. So that means you speak either two or more than two languages. That's an example of a hard skill because it's something that can be taught or measured. Usually they can measure about how many words you can speak or read or write in a particular language, or about what grade level you're at. A degree or certificate, an example for that might be an RN, a registered nurse's license, or an LPN, a licensed practical nurse. Okay? Typing speed. Like, for example, you could say, hey, I can type 60 words per minute. That can be measured, and it can also be practiced and taught. Machine operation. Maybe you know how to operate a forklift or have a license to operate a forklift, or perhaps you know how to operate a table saw. Those are hard skills. The rest of these are kind of looking, for the most part, at technological skills that employers are looking for nowadays. So mobile development, being able to develop apps. Programming languages, those are things like C++ or Python. Maybe you've heard of those before. The Adobe software suite. Some examples of programs in the Adobe software suite that you may have heard of are like Photoshop or InDesign, or maybe Dreamweaver if you worked quite a bit with Adobe. Network security, that's looking at Wi-Fi network securities, local area networks, etc. Statistical analysis is being able to analyze stats. That's actually pretty complicated, a lot of math stuff. Marketing campaign management, maybe you work in marketing. Storage systems management, here they're looking at massive data systems, really large ones. So not small ones that like are storing like the data on your computer or the data in your home, but we're looking at massive systems, kind of like Aspire, the state's information system, student information system, or Google or Canvas, for example. Another hard skill that I didn't include on here, but that many of you probably possess, are Microsoft Office skills, okay? So that's, for example, things like being able to work with the programs, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all of those Microsoft Office programs. And while they are hard skills, you may say, hey, they're not hard skills because you said not to use them on your resume. So yes, I did say that. So don't include them on the resume. I only want you to include them on the resume. So only include on your resume if you pass the MOS test, like in Business Office. The MOS is, I believe it stands for Microsoft Office Specialty or Specialization Test, which confirms that yes, you are proficient in using, either Word, PowerPoint, Excel, or all three, or any combination of the above. But otherwise, don't include Microsoft Office skills because pretty much everybody is expected nowadays to be able to use those three programs. So only include it if you pass the MOS test. Either way, though, it's still a hard skill. So if it's something that you have, feel free to use it on the quiz. Just don't include it in your resume unless you pass the MOS test. Now let's look through some examples of soft skills. First example is teamwork, right? It's kind of hard to measure exactly how well maybe somebody works with a team, right? So that's why it would be a soft skill. Maybe you're really good at communication, talking to people or getting your ideas across clearly. That's a soft skill. Maybe you're really flexible or patient. Perhaps you're super good at time management. That one maybe can be measured a little bit more because time's something we can measure. But even then, it's still a soft skill. Maybe motivation. You've got a lot of motivation to attempt things or complete projects or work through things. Maybe you're really good at solving problems, like difficult problems. That would be a soft skill that you might have. You maybe have a positive attitude, integrity, which is like honesty. Maybe you're really dependable. Perhaps you're super open-minded. It's my bad drawing of a brain. Or really creative. Maybe you're good at thinking critically through things. Maybe organization's your thing. You like to organize papers and notes and all those kinds of things. Or empathy means you're able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. So what I want you to do now, I'm going to target this second learning target here, identify the difference, or so you're given a skill, you'll be able to tell whether it's a hard skill or a soft skill, okay? So what I want you to do is to either take out a piece of paper or a whiteboard, something you can write on, maybe you could even type it on your computer, and I want you to organize it into two columns, okay? Like down here, for example, hard skills and soft skills, okay? It doesn't have to be color-coded or anything super fancy, but just get a little T-chart going. And what I want you to do is to take all of these I have listed here and sort them into either the hard skills category or the soft skills category. And while you're doing it, it would also be beneficial for you to be thinking about why you decided it was a hard skill or why you decided it was a soft skill. So I'm going to pause here for just a little bit, give you time to copy those down and sort them into a table. Then I'll scroll down and kind of show you the answers, maybe discuss a few that you might have been confused on. So for those of you that are still here, don't think you're just going to scroll through this pause, right? Or just avoid writing these down. Please get something to write on and try and organize these. Okay, let's take a look. Hard skills versus soft skills. This is how I sorted them here. And I kind of tried to trick you on some of them, like for example, time management by capitalizing the M, even though it's really still just a soft skill, right? Some of these are actually taken directly from the table above, so hopefully you got those ones right. Or they're one of the answers I gave. But a forklift operator license is definitely a hard skill. It's a license, right, or degree. So in this case, it's a license, something that you're given that can be measured, right? You either have it or you don't. Microsoft Office skills we talked about. Communication is something that's a little more abstract. It's not as concrete, harder to measure, even harder to teach, right? So it's a soft skill. Lathe operation. Some of you maybe asked what a lathe was. I probably should have mentioned that before you tried to sort. It's a machine. It's an industrial machine. Pretty big and powerful. Very dangerous. But so that goes under hard skills, operating a lathe, because you can be shown and taught how to do that. Leadership would be a soft skill, right, along with time management and patience. And then data systems management we talked about was kind of up here. Storage systems, data systems management, generally the same thing. And that's going to be a hard skill as well. So now what I want you to do upon completion of watching this lesson is to go ahead and go on to Canvas, find the resume prep hard skills versus soft skills quiz. I believe that's what it's called. It looks like this. Resume prep. Might say preparation all the way. I might have not been super lazy that time. Hard skills and soft skills. And go ahead and take the quiz on that, where you have to give me one hard skill and two soft skills that you either currently possess or hope to possess by the end of your high school experience.